Okay guys, welcome back to what is our final episode of our dinosaur game. Today we are going to be finishing it. We've got a few things to do. Mainly we need to finish our UI, so our score is not working. We need to finish that, we need to update it so it actually shows us our score. Then we need to fix our collisions, because when we collide with one of our cactus or our obstacles, we need to end the game and give the option to the player to restart it. Then what else do we need to do? We need to go and fix our game speed. I think it's not working, so we'll see if it's not working and we can go fix it. And then we also need to work on the game over button, or not the game over, the retry button. So when we press the button, we want the game to reset itself so that the player can start again. So we need to go and remove all the obstacles from the game, as well as disable the dinosaurs, so you won't be able to control the dinosaur. You won't be able, the spawner needs to be disabled as well, so you don't see cactuses or obstacles being spawned into the scene while the game is over. And then when we go and press the game, well, the retry button, we need to go and do the opposite of that and enable all of it so that it works again. So let's get into it. So let's do the easy stuff first. We need to go and fix our score, because I believe it's not really working, and you can see you can play the game, but we don't have a score that's being shown here. So let's go and do that. So we need to go to our scripts, which are here. And I believe our score must be in our UI script. So we worked on it yesterday, so let's just, not yesterday or whenever it was. So let's go and uncomment all of this and just see where we're at. So let's get rid of printing it, because we don't want to print it. We just want to show it on the screen. So here, let's go and do this. Get rid of that. And then in here, I think we can, let's just try and get rid of our global.score here and see if that actually works. Because we are setting our score, which is in this class, to be plus equal. It means add the global game speed plus times the time.delta time. So that should increase our speed of the game. And then our score label, okay, so that's fine. The score label, we go and update our text to equal whatever the value of the score is. So let's go and test that out and see if we have anything shown in our UI. So we should be able to see, okay, so there we have our score now. It's now updating, which is good, but we want it to have more digits than just the actual score. We want it to be, where's our game? We want it to look like this, and then just have the rightmost digits change depending on how big the score is. So if it's only one digit, we just want the 1 over here to change, as well as keeping all of these zeros. So we can do that by just simply saying in the two string brackets here, if we go and say D5, I think the D stands for digits. So it's, in other words, it says always have 5 digits, no matter what the value of it is. So that should keep our score looking like this, just updating the digits that need to be updated like that. Okay, so as it gets bigger, the digits or the zeros will change to whatever they need to be changed to. So that's fine, that's working now. That's our UI done. Now in the original game, I believe there was a high score that was represented over here. We're not really going to do that, because I mean, we want to get this game done. You could save the high score using player preferences. Whenever you go over the high score, just like save it again, I guess. But we're not going to be doing that in today's episode or in this game. So let's go and start working on, let's go and fix the game speed. So where do we do that? In the, I think it's in the move left script. So let's see. We need to increase the speed. Actually, let's do this. Let's go and say public speed, float rather, public float speed. And then after we have set our global game speed, we can go and say speed is equal to global dot game speed. Let's just see if what's happening with our speed. So I believe that was in the move left script, so we can attach that to our ground, which it already is. So we can now see when we play a game, this should update with our speed. So it is updating, you can see there. So our speed is getting faster, but let's go and increase the speed increase just so we can see if the game is actually getting faster. We'll set it to half a second. That way the speed of the game should increase a lot faster. So let's test this out. So we should see that the game gets faster, but we can see now that it keeps getting reset when it goes up to about more. I mean, it gets reset, I don't know why. Maybe that is because I think we have this same move left script attached to our obstacles. Yeah. And whenever we instantiate one of these scripts onto it, it sets the game speed to the initial game speed back to 5, which is not what we want. So we need to go and change that. So first of all, let's go change that back to 1, because that's working fine. We can get rid of that because we don't need to. We done that. That was just to test to see if it was actually increasing. So that's fine. Now, to solve this problem, we are going to create a completely new script. Remember when a few episodes ago we created an obstacle script, which we then attached to our cactus. So we're going to do that. We're going to delete our move left script off of our cactus, and then we can go and create an obstacle script called obstacle. Like that. We'll create that, and then we'll attach that to both of our obstacles. So that one should be on here. There it is. So let's go and edit, or let's go and write some code in it to make our obstacles move to the left. So we'll drag that into there, and then we can go and just going to change that to a capital O, as well as having to change it in our scripts here. Okay, so now we need to do this. This is what we have to type in our obstacle script. So here we can get rid of all of this. Actually, no, we can't. We can get rid of our start method, and we only really need our update method for now. Later on, we'll use the script as well for our collisions to detect whenever we need to end the game when our dinosaur collides with a obstacle. So in this script, in our update method here, we can go and say transform dot position is going to be plus equals to the global dot speed, game speed rather, times time dot delta time, and then that is going to be in the direction of left, so times vector 3 dot left. So that should move our obstacles to the left. So let's go and test this out. So I think we only added it to one of our prefabs, so we need to add it to the other one. So this is going to be obstacle. Actually, we can't do that. Let's just try and drag it on. I swear we just updated that obstacle. Okay, so on cactus 3, let's go and remove this one, move left, because we no longer need that. And then on here, let's go and say obstacle. Okay, so let's just check our other prefab and see if that one is okay. Cactus 1, okay, that's fine there. We did get rid of our move left script, so that's fine. Let's test this out now. So we now should see our obstacles should still move to the left. And the game speed should also increase, but okay, so we're not going to see it, but you'll see that there's none of that like lag where the game kind of goes faster and then it slowed down, and now it's just carrying on increasing in speed. So you can see there's a smooth increase without having the slowing down anymore. So that's good. That's what we wanted. Now we need to go and what do we need to do? I think everything's pretty much done except for the game over button or the retry button, as well as the collision. So let's work on our collisions quick. It shouldn't take too long. So on our cactus, we are going to make both of our colliders a trigger so that we can trigger something to happen whenever we collide with them. So we set both of them to is a trigger, and then we can use our obstacle script because we have that attached to both of them. And then we can just bring in our on trigger enter 2D method. And then here we can go and say, let's just say print collision dot name and see what we are colliding with, and if it even works. So this should print out the name dinosaur when we collide with, hold on, what's happening? Script, okay, so we need to, why does that not save? How many times do I have to change this to a capital O? There we go. On cactus 1, let's go, and that should be fine. That's so confusing. Cactus 3, which we probably should rename to cactus 2. Makes more sense. That's fine. So, okay, let's test this out again. Okay, so we don't have any of those errors. Now, when we collide with this cactus, we should see a print out that says dinosaur, which we do. Okay, so that's working. Now, instead of printing out that, we need to go and end the game. So let's go and do this. Let's create another script, and this is going to be our game manager. So in our game manager, we will house all of our methods that we need to restart the game, end the game, and destroy all existing objects. So let's go and say game manager, and then we can open that up. And in here, we are going to need a few references. So we can say serialize field dinosaur, because we're going to need access to our dinosaur, so that's going to be dinosaur. Then we need access to our obstacle. Yeah, obstacle. So this is going to be a private obstacle. So we're going to use this to destroy all of our obstacles that are in the scene already. And then what else do we need? We need a spawner. So we do have a spawner game object. So we can say serialize field. Change this to spawner. Okay, and then can leave that like that. Let's go and drag these in before we forget. What's this game object? Oh, so that's to destroy our cactus. Okay, so create another empty object here and call it game manager. And then we have to attach the script, drag that onto there. Just going to rename this to change destroy obstacle just so that we know what it does. Okay, so on our game manager, we now have references, so we can go and drag in our dinosaur, we can go drag in our spawner, and then using this script here, we can go and do a bunch of things that we need to do when we go and play a new game. We'll restart the game. So we're going to need a method called new game. This needs to be public void new game. Then we need to have another one called public void game over. Okay, and then I don't think we need our update method. We'll get rid of it for now. So when we go and collide with a game object, or not a game object, sorry, when our dinosaur collides with one of our cactus, we can go to our obstacles here, and we're going to need to bring our start method back. We'll just put private there. So we are going to need access to that game manager. So let's go and say private game, private game manager game manager. And then here we can go and say game manager is equal to find object of type is going to be a game manager. That should find our object. So it's fine for this game because it's quite a small game, so it's not going to have to go through a bunch of different things to look for the game manager. So it shouldn't really slow the game down. And then when we go and collide with something, we can go and say if the collision dot compare tag is going to be equal to global dot dinosaur tag, then we can go and call game manager dot game over. Okay, so that should be fine. We just need to go and create this dinosaur tag. So this is going to be a dinosaur tag, and this will just be called dinosaur. So that should be attached to our dinosaur, which I hope it is. Otherwise, we have to create it. So it's not attached. So let's go and create another dinosaur tag, and then we can add that to our dinosaur. So that should trigger that method to work. So let's go and add in our game manager. Let's just go and say print working. So if this gets printed when we collide with one of our obstacles, it's working, obviously. Let's test it out. So of course it's missing. Why is it always missing? I don't understand. I'm so confused. Cactus. That's so annoying. But it's right there. No, it's not. How many times am I going to have to change this? Save that. Let's save it so that we don't have to do it again. And then on our prefabs, it's there. Like, what is happening? That's never happened before. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. I have saved it this time. So let's test it out and see. So we should now get a message in our console saying working whenever we collide with one of these. So it is. There we go. We can now access that method. So that's great. So now instead of printing this out, we need to go and do a few things. So for our dinosaur, when we collide with that obstacle, we want to go and set our dinosaur to false. So dinosaur.set.gameObject.set active false. And while we're doing this, we're just going to do the exact opposite to our new game. So when we go and press the button, we want our dinosaur to be equal to true. Same thing for our spawner. We want to go and say spawner.game. Actually, let's just do this. Let's just paste it there and just change dinosaur to spawner. Save us some time. So we can say whenever we collide with something, we don't want any more obstacles to be spawned in, so we need to go and set that to false. As well as when we go and press the new game button, we want some obstacles to be spawned in, so I guess that should be true. Now we need to go and set the speed of the game to be 0. So after we've done that, we can go and say global.game speed is going to be equal to 0. And then when we go and I don't really know if we need to go and set our speed back to, where is our move left? Back to 5, because when we actually, I don't know. Let's just test this out and see. So we'll set the game speed back to 0, and then let's just go and say new game global dot game speed is going to be equal to 5. And then what else do we want to do? We want to go and say enabled is equal to true, so that we can disable this script when we, what's it called, the game is over. So in game over, enabled is going to be equal to false, and we have to go and enable it when we start a new game, and then that should be fine. So let's just go test this out and see exactly what happens. So you won't see the obstacles being destroyed, but let's go play the game and see if the game actually stops or if it starts. So if we collide with that, you can see our dinosaur is disabled. Our spawner is disabled, but it's still spawning things, which is weird. That's not right. Spawner that's set active is equal to false, so it shouldn't really be spawning things. I'm going to disable that right now and see. Why is it still spawning things? That's weird. If we disable that at the start and then press play, we shouldn't get obstacles, which is true, which means if we, let's try that again. Let's set it to be active, and then we should get obstacles. Now if we set it to be false, we're still getting obstacles. That's weird. That's not supposed to happen. Alright, that's a bit strange. So we need to go and figure out why that's working like that. So where's our spawner class? Interesting. That's a bit weird, but anyway, let's go and let's do that for now. And then in our game manager, when we start a new game, we want to first, before we do anything else, we want to get rid of all the objects that are already in the scene. So to do that, we can go and say, create an array of obstacles, and then this is going to be equal to find objects of type with the type of obstacle attached to it. So whatever game object has an obstacle script attached to it, it's going to get obstacle. What's happening here? This needs to be of type. There we go, obstacle, and then we can go and say for each obstacle in obstacles, we can say destroy obstacle, destroy bracket obstacle, why is that not working? Just for each var obstacle in obstacles, destroy the obstacle dot game object. Okay, so it does work, it just wasn't auto-completing. Okay, so that's fine. So we'll save that like that, and then don't think we really need that, so we can get rid of that. And then we can probably get rid of our start method because we don't really need that either. And then I think that should be fine. So now let's just go and set up our UI to start the game again once we've pressed the button. So on our canvas, let's add a panel, UI panel, and this panel will be our game over actually, let's just say game over. So on here, let's go, where is it? Let's go to our scene view. So here's our panel. Now we need to add a text element to it. So UI text. This is just going to say game over. Then we need to change the font to the one we wanted. Let's get it to be one line. So disable the text wrapping. We'll make it a little bit bigger and center it both horizontally and vertically. And then let's make it bigger to about actually, let's make it about 100, or let's make it 70 or 80. Yeah, 80 is fine. Move it up like that. And then under our text, we want to add a button. So where's button? There it is. So we can change the image of the button to be our retry button, like that. Set the width to be 160 and as well as the height, because this needs to be a square. Actually, that's a bit too big. Let's go about 100 by 100. What does that look like? Okay, so that's fine. Now let's just get rid of the text because we don't really need that. Okay, so that's fine. Now I'm going to make the color a little bit transparent so it's not as dark. And then let's make it the same for our title. So that's fine. That looks good. Let's just move our text down a little bit. That's good. So that looks fine. Now let's actually make the button work. So on our button, we need a new event. So we can drag in our game manager in here. So whenever we press our retry button, we want to press the new game. We want it to call the new game function. So let's do this. On our UI, so on our canvas, we have this UI manager. So let's go and say, where's our UI manager? There it is. Actually, where do you want to do this? Obstacle. We need to set this active and set it to be disable it whenever the game is running, as well as enable it when the game is not running. So let's just do it in the game manager. Yeah, we'll do it in the game manager. So where's our game manager? Here, let's go and get a reference to it. So copy and paste that. I only need one. So this is going to be a game object. And then it will be our game over panel. So when we go and say game over, we need to go and set game over dot set active to true, so that we can actually see the button. And then as soon as we press the new game button, we can go and set it to be false. Let's test that and see if it works. So at start, we are going to disable it because we don't want it to be visible. So we'll get rid of it. So let's test that out and see if it works. So as soon as our game still works, you can see the scores climbing and oh, seriously? Oh, obstacles no longer working again. That's great. Where are our obstacles? Oh, our spawner is disabled. That's why. So when we play the game, you can see our obstacles are in here. So now when we collide with one, the game should clearly not work. And the variable game over of game manager. Okay, so we haven't dragged it in. Okay, so game over. I'll drag that in there. So that's fine. Let's test that out. Okay, so now we should see that this should work. Well, it would help if we enabled that. So let's test it out. Hopefully that works. Okay, so you can see game over here, and when we press that, we can go and restart the game. So that's good. That's working nicely. The only thing that's left now is we need to reset the score as well. Because let's do that quick. So game over, we can go and say global dot. We don't have a score variable in here. Okay, so that's going to be a problem. So where is our score? UI manager. So let's get rid of this, and then we can just say global.score as well as global.score in there. And then in our global here, we can go and say global private public static float score. That should be fine, because then in our game manager, hopefully we can just go and say global.score is equal to 0. And then let's test that out. So hopefully now we can reset our score. We just need to test that. So we start off at, okay, so that does work, but let's not do it there. Let's do it in here, so that we don't see, you can still see what your high score was as soon as the game is over. Otherwise it's just going to reset back to 0 and you won't really know what your score is. So this should work. Our score should stay at what it is, whatever your high score is. Okay, no, clearly that doesn't work. What? Did we save it? Oh, we didn't get rid of it here. So we'll save that and then go back. All right, let's test that. Okay, and today's episode is a little bit short, a little bit longer, because we do want to get this game done. Zoom out. Okay, so you can see our high score is still 28, but because the game is still moving, the high score is still going up. So we need to figure out a way to pause the game. So let's go and do this. Let's go to our obstacle script and say, let's just go and say, where's global? In here we can go and add a boolean and say public static is paused is going to be equal to false, because when we start the game, we want the game to be running. So this is probably not the best way to do it, but it's a quick, hopefully a quick fix. So for our obstacles, we can go and say in our update method, if we can say if game is global dot is paused. So if the game is not paused, then we can go and move our obstacles. And then in our ground, which is in our move left here, we can go and say if the game is not paused, then we can go and move our ground. What else do we have to do? Destroy objects? No. I think that's it. So let's save that and test that out. Actually, no, that's not going to work, because we need to go and set it. So in our game manager here, we can go and say when the game is over, we can go and say global dot is paused is equal to true. And then when we go and press or make a new game, we can go and say global dot is paused is equal to false. If I can type properly. Okay, so that should be fine. So hopefully that will fix our game. So let's play it and see if we can start and stop the game. And of course, this is not going to work, because again, on our prefabs, we are missing a script. So that's so annoying. Why does it keep doing that? It's probably easier just to make a completely new script. On our prefabs, they should be fine now. That's fine. Okay, so let's test that out and see if it works. So the game runs. Obstacles are there. If we collide with one, we get our game over. You can see the ground is no longer moving. Our high score is set back, or is paused, because the game's not longer moving. If we press retry, and the game resets, so now we can jump over these obstacles, and that's good. That's perfect. So that is pretty much done. All right, so there you go. There you have it. There is our dinosaur game completely finished. Everything's working. Our high score is working. Our collisions are working. Our new game is working. Yeah, it only took us about 5 episodes, so it wasn't too long of a game series, but yeah, that's perfect. Nice, quick, different type of game that we made. But yeah, that's it for today's episode. From now, we are going to get back to our cube game, so our cube quest, our cube maze game. I can't remember what they called, and our island game. But yeah, that's it for today. So thanks for watching again. If you like the series, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel as well as give it a like. And I will see you in the next episode. So goodbye. Thanks for watching again.